Hi, I'm Ipsa. Uh, we are doing some maths today, trigonometry, heights and distances. We are on part G, as you can see, and we are taking a problem. Looks quite small. We've discussed the typical methods. You have to find two equations, you have to find two triangles, then you have to find what is not asked. And then we have to make things equal from the two equations. Four basic steps which are always followed. Okay. Now let's start as usual without wasting time. From top of a house, h meters high. Fine. There's a house which is h meters high. There has to be a ground. This is the house AB. Okay. The angle of elevation and depression to the bottom and to the top and bottom of another house. My God, can't they have a simpler English? Why can't they break them into small, small sentences? Wait, let's read again. यहाँ तक तो ठीक था. The angle of elevation and depression. Okay, so there are two angles. एक एलिवेशन का एंगल है एंड देयर इज अनदर व्हिच इज डिप्रेशन का एंगल टू द टॉप एंड बॉटम. अच्छा, एक एलिवेशन का टॉप पे है और बॉटम का डाउन पे है. टू अनदर हाउस. ओ, एक और घर है. नाउ एज यूजुअल वी फेस द प्रॉब्लम. जो दूसरा घर है, शुड वी मेक इट टॉलर और शॉर्टर देन दिस? इससे बड़ा बनाना है कि इससे छोटा बनाना है? We don't know. I'm just randomly taking it like this. I decide to take a small house. Now, again, begin from here. The angle of elevation, यहाँ से हम देख रहे हैं from top of the house. हम देख कहाँ रहे हैं? This is our eye. Okay. Angle of elevation. यहाँ से हमें ऊपर देखना है, पर ऊपर तो देखने के लिए कुछ है ही नहीं except for the sentence. So looks like that this diagram is not correct because from here you are supposed to have an angle of elevation. ऊपर देखना है. So we immediately correct it and we make another house which is taller than this. Okay? That's how we correct our own mistakes. If at all by chance पहले ही बड़ा बन गया होता तो ठीक ही था, तब तो आ जाता. So this is the second house CD. We are still here. The angle of elevation and depression, दो angles हैं, to the top of the house and bottom of the house. देख हम यहीं से रहे हैं. एक हम देख रहे हैं टॉप ऑफ द हाउस. आई एम लुकिंग एट पॉइंट सी. एक हम देख रहे हैं बॉटम ऑफ द हाउस विच इज पॉइंट डी. सो लेट्स मेक दीज लाइन्स. वन आई एम लुकिंग हियर टॉप ऑफ द हाउस, वन आई एम लुकिंग एट बॉटम ऑफ द हाउस. क्लियर? Elevation and depression, and they are alpha and beta. What is alpha and beta? The angles of elevation and depression are alpha and beta. Okay. You know, angle of elevation starts from the eye. Any depression and elevation, anything that starts from the eye, you need a slanting line, you need a horizontal line. अब ये eye तो आ गई, slanting line भी आ गई, पर यहाँ पे there is no horizontal line to make the angle. तो हम एक, as usual, हम एक horizontal line which does not exist, it's imaginary, we draw a horizontal line. Because for angle of elevation, we need I से start होते हुए one slanting and one horizontal. So this, because this is looking up, see from here you have to look up, this becomes angle of elevation, which they have said is alpha. One of them is alpha and one of them is beta. The angle of elevation is alpha and the angle of depression is beta. How will you find angle of depression? From the eye itself, there have to be two lines, slanting and horizontal. So we have a slanting line. We have an horizontal line. You can call this as beta. And this is looking down. यहाँ से हमें नीचे ही देखना पड़ेगा to look at point E. So this is depression. Fine. Thank God. Thank God this sentence got over. Just imagine the whole question, one English sentence. Okay. Now we have to find the height of the second house. Okay. So we have to find this CD. The question is find CD. The actual question what we have been asked. We'll start taking triangles. Before that, you know there are two triangles, two equations, so we need two variables x and y. What are the constants here? हमने डिस्कस किया था जब वैल्यूज नहीं देते हैं 30 40 20 30 तो ये चीजें दे देते हैं ना h alpha beta, these are to be treated as numbers, as constants. So let's write here before we get confused. H, alpha and beta are constants. They are numbers. उनकी वैल्यू हमें नहीं फाइंड करनी है, राइट? दे आर नंबर्स और कॉन्स्टेंट्स. तो वेरिएबल कहाँ है? वेरिएबल टिपिकली हम एक्स वाई ले लेते हैं. सो बिकॉज वी आर टिपिकली यू नो द माइंड इज सेट एक्स एंड वाई वेरिएबल्स. क्या क्या लेना चाहते हो एक्स वाई? एक चीज को तो कुछ लेना ही पड़ेगा. जो हमें ढूंढना है वो हम एक्स ले लेते हैं. ओके जो हमें ढूंढना है ना हम उसको एक्स ले लेते हैं. सो लेट दिस entire thing CD, let this entire thing CD be x. Simple, whatever we have to find is x. And horizontal भी हमें कुछ ना कुछ लेना ही पड़ता है, which is y. And this house was h meters high. That they had mentioned. It's a number, it's a constant, it's not a variable. Now we can start. All the basic work is done. We start with the first triangle. The first triangle, I choose this one. There is no name to it. So sorry. So I choose the triangle AEC. In triangle AEC, tan alpha. You know हमें पता है कि हम typically tan ही लेते हैं तो ज़्यादा सोचने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Tan is perpendicular upon base. So in this triangle, this upon this. Tan theta is perpendicular upon base. In the triangle that we're considering, it's alpha. Base is how much? Base is same as y. It's not written there, but we can see from the diagram that this base for this triangle is also same as y. How much is perpendicular? That's the only thing to be found. पूरा का पूरा x है. This much is y. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm saying this पूरा का पूरा x है और ये part is h. Full x. This much is h. So how much is this much? This much becomes x minus h. Like for example, if this was 10 full, okay, and this was 3. 10 full and 3. तो ये कितना हो जाता? 7. Right? X minus h. So we get the perpendicular. As usual, we try to make it a non-fractional equation. That should be our purpose. We're trying to find what we don't need. हमें चाहिए क्या? हमें x चाहिए. तो हम ढूंढेंगे क्या? y. So how will we find y? Y will become this x minus h upon tan alpha. Just bring it down. So that becomes the first equation that we have, where we've found the value of the thing which we didn't want, the variable which we do not want the answer. Second triangle. What is the second triangle? The second triangle is AED. Okay, triangle AED. Again, we start with the same process. Tan theta is equal to perpendicular upon base. Now, in this case, the angle is beta. How much is the perpendicular? H. The perpendicular is H. So this becomes H, and the base we know is Y. Again, we try to make it straight. We don't want any fractions. Again, we want Y because that's what they've not asked. हम वही ढूंढेंगे जो वो नहीं पूछेंगे. We are those children who revolt. मम्मी ने कहा खाना खाओ, हम खाना नहीं खाएंगे. So we are that kind of people. Okay. So we get this. Now the last step. What is the last step? जो दो हमने equations find किए हैं, we have to make them equal. Now y is equal to this much and y is equal to this much also. This is y, this is y. So they both have to be equal. That's it. We make them equal from here. So x minus h upon tan alpha right? Then we cross multiply. Sorry for this tera mera equation. It has gone down because of lack of space. This is one equation. Okay. Now what do we want? We want x, the total height. So let's get everything, every x to one side. I'll let this be here. That's it. I'll shift everything there. I'll take common. I can get this down because x is ultimately what I needed. So this is our final answer, that the height of the second house, the taller house, is this much. H tan alpha plus tan beta and whole upon tan beta. Okay, now so in some certain books, the answer doesn't look like this. It looks a little different. So let's solve till there, just in case. So what they do is just one more step, two more steps. They break this fraction. Can this part be written as tan alpha tan beta plus tan beta tan beta? We just say LCM लेके and we combine two fraction. What we are doing is we have one combined fraction and I'm dividing into two separate fractions. That's all I'm doing. Now, very funny things they do. Tan alpha, they keep it as tan alpha. Now this is 1 upon tan beta. See, 1 upon tan beta. Can I write it as cot beta? 1 upon tan is cot. So this tan alpha remains as it is. This part becomes cot beta. This gets over, this gets cut. So this is plus 1. So in certain books, the height of the second house is mentioned like this. So we can easily do it in one more step. Or this much is also fine that the height of the second house is this. Or this in case you want it till here. Hope you've understood. Hope you've understood the questions where we get scared कि कोई वैल्यू ही नहीं है 30 डिग्री नहीं है 45 डिग्री नहीं है 5 मीटर्स नहीं है 10 मीटर्स नहीं है अब क्या करें देर इज नो नीड टू गेट स्केर्ड दे आर सॉल्व बिल्कुल सेम तरीके से हाउ जो सिंपल नंबर क्वेश्चंस आर सॉल्व ओके ऑल द बेस्ट